Hey, what is going down, everybody? Welcome to another brand new Am I Still on the Air? Yes, we are, and we're back once again with another brand new spoiler review. Today, we are talking a little Black Widow. That's right, the 24th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Black Widow has hit theaters. It's the biggest movie in the box office, pandemic records being broken left and right. So it's only fair that we come together, put the team back together, Avengers style, and break down Black Widow, the things we liked, the things we didn't like, where are we going with this, and everything in between, as we always do with these spoiler reviews. So once again, spoilers coming at you live. So guys, I'm so happy for y'all to be here. And as you know, with the Am I Still on the Airs, the special thing about it is guests. That's what we like to do. We like to bring on some peeps, so to speak, to join us and break down these films. So with that being said, the first guy I'm going to bring in over here is Mr. Peeps himself. What up, man?
How you do? Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining. Hey, Mr. People's Forum in the house. People's over here, always breaking down a lot of stuff in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, usually the Disney Plus shows on a week-by-week basis. So always happy to have my boy Peeps on here to break some stuff down. And, of course, our third member to the team here tonight is my boy Frigginz. What is going down?
Hey, you know what, man? I'm excited to talk about Black Widow. So I hope you guys got, all your stuff together, because I think I'm going to just get ready to bash it. Maybe not.
Smash.
Maybe not.
Smash.
I don't know. We'll see.
Smash. And once again, guys, I'm DX DONMEGA, your host of the show, and we are ready to rock and roll. So once again, everybody, welcome, man. It has been a minute since we've had the three of us. Me and Frigginz just a couple weeks ago got together and we did the F9 spoiler review, breaking down everything of the 9th film in the Fast and Furious franchise. So if you haven't listened to that yet, check it out. But here tonight, man, hey, it's about Black Widow. We've been waiting a long ass time for this movie, man. Far too long. We haven't had a movie in theaters in the Marvel universe in a year and a half, man. Spider-Man Far From Home was the last movie we had in theaters. Of course, the pandemic hit right before Black Widow was about to drop. Black Widow was supposed to come out May of 2020, and you know what went down there. So then it got shifted to the summertime. Then it got shifted to November of 2020. Then it got shifted again a full year to May of 2021. And then one more time, it got bumped again from May to this past July 7th. Finally hitting screens along with Disney Plus, putting it on their Premiere All Access for $30 a pop. So a lot of people, man, it was a pretty 50-50 split over the weekend, with people watching it at home and then people watching it obviously in theaters. I know when I went to see it opening night in IMAX, it was sold out, man. There was not a single seat open in the house. It was jam-packed. I don't know about your guys' theater experience, if it was pretty packed or not. But it was really cool to see, because I have not seen a sold-out theater like that in quite some damn time. So it's very nice after a year and a half to get back to some MCU on the big screen. We've been lucky that we've had some Disney Plus holding us over. We had WandaVision, we had Falcon and Winter Soldier. We just finished Loki this past week. And then finally in theaters, we get some more MCU. Our 24th film in the MCU. And later in this episode, of course, we will be bringing you our updated rankings of how these movies kind of come together now that we have another entry, and I can't wait to see how it all folds out. So man, where do we begin? That's always the fun part. So we'll start, of course, at just overall thoughts, so kind of just real quick, kind of just leaving the theater, what was the overall thought? So Peeps, what you got?
So I'll break down all my little bits and pieces and the way that I feel about specifics as we go through. But after leaving the theater, I mean, I can say that I wasn't dissatisfied with what I got. The thought that was going through my head was like, wow, that was amazing. I needed that like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It
I think that was a lot of people's interpretation.
Yeah, and I'll just say that, you know, we'll talk a little bit more about it, but you know, overall, like I had a good time. I absolutely loved some of the new characters that we got. It was fun. It was fun. It had that Marvel charm. It you know, it lacked in some other areas that I feel like if it wasn't a standalone, if it wasn't a Marvel movie, would it really like hold up in terms of like a spy, you know, flick? Like maybe, maybe not. Was this movie meant for kids? Is it meant for adults? Is it, you know, I don't know. I took my kids there. My kids were bored as hell at some scenes, and then other scenes they were excited as hell. So I don't know. I had a lot of mixed feelings, to be honest, when I had left the theater, and you know, I had some time to sit and think about it and let it just let it embrace me a little bit. But overall, overall I was happy with the movie. I'm glad that you know, Scarlett Johansson finally got her own standalone flick, and she wasn't just you know, like in the Winter Soldier movie. You know, she wasn't a side character. This was her movie, and long overdue though, unfortunately. But
yeah. Long overdue. I'll agree with that. I mean, it's kind of a gift and a curse because I feel like she's earned the solo movie at this point, right? Like after a decade of films, like we're more in tune with this character. So it's kind of, it felt good to see her kind of get her shine. Like,
yeah,
it almost makes you like wonder, like if she got a phase 1 movie, like would we have cared as much? You know, like would it have really mattered? But then again, the other part of me says, you know, this movie takes place between Civil War and right before Infinity War. And it's like, if we would have got this movie in that actual time frame,
That would have been perfect.
it would have been perfect, right?
Perfect.
It would have been perfect. Because
Perfect.
then when she passes in Endgame, you would have had
It
a
would've
little
been
bit
that
more
much
to
harder.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, because now we've seen family and we've seen kind of this other side of it. So, man, it is a gift and a curse based on kind of the time frame that this does come out, that they put this out after she's been killed off in the universe. So that kind of does suck. But yeah, so Fred, man, initial thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but for the last 2 years in a row, this has been like one of my most anticipated movies coming out.
Right there next to Gambit, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
For that one. Still waiting for that one.
Hashtag coming soon.
It was listed as coming out anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Initial thoughts was I was super hyped. And because not only do I like MCU movies, not only do I think Black Widow is an awesome character, but I also really like the spy genre. You know, I'm super into the Bourne Identities kind of movies, James Bond, all that kind of thing. So I had from the trailer this like concept of I'm getting this spy movie mixed with superhero movies, and guess what? It's kind of like that. So like I kind of got what I was hoping for the most part. You know, it had a lot of those elements, but like what Peeps said, it's one of those films where, well, so some movies you walk out of and you just sort of like, man, that sucked. And some movies you walk out of and you're like, oh my God, that was amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
And then there's others where sometimes you walk out and you're like, I'm going to have to think about this for a while. Like, what was that? Like, there were things I liked. There were things I didn't like. Like, how did that work? And so I, like you, had that same kind of experience where I kind of like had to think about it a little bit. The more I thought about it, the more I actually liked it. But overall, it was just one of those kinds of experiences where, you know, as I was watching it, I kind of feel like this is a little slow. This is really cool. I didn't really like that. Oh, this is cool again. And just this kind of roller coaster of emotions, like watching it throughout the whole process. So that's my kind of general look at it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, initial thoughts for me, I mean, coming out that first night, I mean, especially seeing it in IMAX, I really liked it. I thought it gave me what I expected. I'll say that, right? You know, I think my expectation level was where it needed to be, so I wasn't let down. You know, I wasn't feeling like it left me wanting a bunch more, because what else could they have done, you know, with something like this? But it was a fun ride, and what I think really worked well for this, and we'll get into more detail later, is just, you know, it's still, yes, it's Black Widow's movie, it's Scarlett's movie, but it is an ensemble picture in its own way. And that's what I think really carried this film, is all the cool characters, right? Meeting her sister and her mom and her dad, and everybody was really, really cool in this. And that's kind of, I think without that, if this was just kind of her on this solo mission and kind of just one-on-one with like Taskmaster, like I probably wouldn't have liked it as much. But because of the ensemble kind of thing, which I saw that Scarlett was the one that pushed for that. She wanted a good base beat, around her, to kind of really elevate the movie. And I think that that's what worked here tremendously. Now, I've seen the movie twice already. I saw it that opening night on Friday and then went again on Saturday with the family. And I actually liked it more the second time. And, and sometimes it's that second viewing I find that really gives you your gut feeling on a movie, because that first one you're so hyped, right? Like we just talked about, we waited a year and a half to see this movie since it should have been in theaters originally, and then it's just all this hype, build up, and then you watch it finally and you're just like you said, your emotions are kind of all over the place. You're like, I like this, I didn't like that, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about it. And then but seeing it a second time through that lens of like, okay, I already know what's coming, you can kind of pay attention to a little bit more. You can you pick up on more clues that are dropped kind of throughout the movie where you're like, ooh, I see where that's foreshadowing, or ooh, like I didn't notice that the first time. There's some extra stuff that you always catch on a second viewing that I think really made me appreciate it. And Peeps, you were talking about your kids, right? Like I felt the same way. So on Friday night I saw it, just me. And I walked out of that one being like, I don't know if my daughter's going to like this one, right? Like it's a more serious movie. There's really no superpowers, right? So like none of that pizzazz that really captures the kids, right? There's no laser beams, there's no portals, there's nothing crazy. And I was like, I don't know, man. And it's a little bit deeper stuff with, these kids getting abducted and all these kind of, dark subject matter behind it. But she ended up loving it. Like she really liked it. Like she wanted me to buy it on Disney Plus when we got home. And I'm like, I'm not spending another $30 on this movie right now. We'll wait till I can buy it and add it to the collection. But, but it was really cool to see her be like, I really enjoyed it. And I was like, wow, I'm surprised, because I wasn't sure how that one was going to hold over for a 7-year-old, but once again, I think that's the journey of the MCU, right? She's seen that character through other movies, and I think it was really cool for her to kind of see her kick some ass on her own. And she really loved Yelena as well, which I think all of us did. So that's always a great addition there. So really cool overall thoughts there in general. So before we really get in again, I'm reminding you, spoilers, we are breaking this thing down. If you want, obviously, a non-spoiler review, go listen to the regular podcast. But this is all about breaking the movie down. So let's get the negatives out the way. So let's jump right into what we didn't like. So let's just jump right into just what didn't we like out of it? What do we wish would have been better? What did we feel it was lacking? I'm gonna start right off because I've been really thinking about this question, and I honestly, the only major thing that I can come out of this one thinking is the Taskmaster reveal. For me, this is the biggest kind of moment in the movie. Like I was so stoked to see Taskmaster in this movie, right? And also a little sad at the same time because he is a really cool villain, and I felt like it was such a throwaway to throw him in the Black Widow movie because I'm like, it's kind of a one-off, kind of one-shot kind of deal, right? Which the way they leave off the character, I guess it could come back down the road with something else, but sure. I was really stoked to see this badass assassin that can mimic everything and just all this stuff, and he was cool in the action scenes, but then the big reveal, right? It's Dreykov's daughter, still alive from after the fire, and we get to see what happened in Budapest. That was referenced obviously in the first Avengers movie, and she blew up the building to kill Dreykov, and the daughter was in there, and she was just kind of collateral damage, but she didn't die. But now she's like half android, and she has a matrix chip in the back of her neck, and all this stuff, right? And we're just downloading people's moves like a video game in her, so she can do all the same stuff. I mean, I get what they were trying to go for. On one hand, I feel like it was the easy way out to be like, oh, she didn't really kill the daughter, right? So she doesn't have that red on her ledger that we've talked about for multiple movies. It's just now she can find peace with it, right? She can make up for it, and she's not the killer that we all thought she was. So that was kind of a cheesy way out. But I was just bummed, man. I really was hoping Taskmaster would have been some former SHIELD agent or something that was, had a past, had a history with Natasha, from maybe Budapest, like, right? That was just part of the mission, and it was somebody that got killed because of her during a mission or something, and it turned out to be that. And they could have done a cool flashback scene, hopefully maybe bringing back Hawkeye or something, right? Because he had his audio in there. He did record some audio for that flashback scene, but so I mean, that's my biggest thing, guys. Like there really wasn't anything else that I felt it was truly lacking for me. I mean, with what they were dealt with and what they had to work with in the confines of the time frame of this movie, and it being a prequel and being beholden to things that come after and things that came before, what else could you have really gotten, you know? So I'll be curious to see what you guys thought. But for me, the biggest thing was just Taskmaster. I was a little let down that that's what it was, and I really wish they would have gone, you know, a more comic accurate kind of way with it. So that's my one. So Peeps, I know you always got things to nitpick. So what you got,
dude? And it sucks because you know, and you know, we got a guest too, you know, throwing some comments at us, you know, how they felt about it as well. And I will definitely agree that part of you know, that last scene. So as I stated, I left the movie having my feelings, but kind of the opposite is Frigginz. The more I kind of thought about it, I think the less I actually enjoyed it. I had this movie at a certain number in our top 24 at this point, Marvel flicks so far, and it dropped. It dropped maybe to a point or two. Okay, so let me go ahead and get into it. I agree with you, DX. The villains. There is a thing that I always like to say in my superhero films is, you know, our hero is only as good as our villain. And in this movie, like Dreykov, we heard about how bad he is, and we hear about how horrible he is, and we hear about how sinister he is, but we barely see it. We see the one moment where the back of a head, a dude presses a button on a keyboard, causing, you know, the widow laying in the puddle of water to shoot herself in the head. But outside of that, we don't really see this character doing anything. Now, the only villain that we do actually see is Taskmaster, but we don't know what his, her, they, that this character's desire, like what drives them. Why are they trying to kill? Oh, you're after the case. Why are you after the case? Do you want to destroy it? Do you want to use it? Like, what are our villains trying to accomplish? And really nothing. Our villains are not really after our heroes. They're just after the case that they have. And I don't know, like that for me, it just kind of, it didn't give me enough to really root for, to root for our heroines. Yes, it was a Black Widow movie, and I'll say it several times. I think Scarlett Johansson was amazing. The character Black Widow was Black Widow through and through, but I found myself liking Yelena more because she has personality. That's nothing against Scarlett Johansson. That is a Black Widow issue, because Black Widow has been this like void since the first Avengers. She's closed herself off emotionally. She comes out occasionally, like with Bruce. She comes out occasionally with Cap and Hawkeye, but overall she's like straight, you know, all about the mission. And that's what this movie was. She was straight about the mission. They're at the dinner table. They're trying to have a good time. And then she's like, you know what? Fuck all this family shit. All right. We're here to do business.
It was real to me. It was real to me.
Don't say that. Yeah, exactly. So
she's like, I don't care what Dom says. Fuck family.
Literally. So
asking for it. He's knocking on my door now. Yeah.
That again, that, you know, I'm now feeling for Yelena, and I'm like, damn you, Black Widow, for saying this thing, and so there's that, the villains, yada yada, Black Widow's Black Void personality. What I didn't like, no. A lot of people are talking smack, and they're knocking on our heroines' Wolverine-like immunity. You know, the fact that they, as our
speaking
guest
of Fast and Furious,
yeah. It can fall out of a helicarrier with debris falling all over them. One of them literally, you know, sticks a stick in a helicopter with the helicopter blowing up in her face, and she just a breeze just causes her to fly backwards slowly and gracefully, and it's fine. And then what I'll say about that, like, that's not a negative, that's not a nitpick. It's fine. It's a Marvel movie.
They did what you're saying though. Like, I mean, like I completely, like, it's a comic book movie, right? Like shit like that happens, right? So I'm not gonna bitch about it, but like you're saying though, like that's not really typical of the MCU though, to be this over the top, because there was several moments, you know, our dude in the chat over here just talked about, you know, her parachuting down with Taskmaster at the end of the movie, right? Like they pulled the parachute like 50 feet above the ground and land, and everybody's all good. Like their legs would have been broken. Like, you know, the biggest one for me was, you know, the rooftop chase, right? And then she hits the wall.
Gosh, it's bouncing.
Hits the air vent, hits the thing, hits the garbage can, and not only hits the ground, but lands on her feet. And she's just like, "Whoo, okay, I'm gonna keep going." Like she would have got knocked the fuck out. Like, you know, so there was a lot of those moments, you know, the free fall, no debris hitting the parachute or hitting them as they're falling from a giant red room falling from the sky.
Even before that, when she goes out the window, she falls for like 70 feet and then grabs the bar and then just pops up and then
swings in, with no momentum. So there was a lot of that. Oh, and to me too, the other one was when they rescue Alexei out of the prison.
Oh my god!
And like she literally grabs him from a rope hanging off the helicopter. That dude's massive, and she like scoops him up with one arm, like, let's go. And she just grabs him, and I'm like, there's no way she just lifted him onto this rope.
Look,
like,
man,
you know, so there was a lot of that going on, but I just kind of, you know,
and I don't want to take too much of Friggin's time, but like he, you know, Friggin's, you know, I love talking movies with this guy, and he has a thought process when it comes to movies, and unfortunately that has carried over, and that shit now affects me, where if a movie takes you out, if there's a moment where you're like, then it messes up the overall experience. And for me, I'm like, these two heroes potentially just killed a lot of guards that are just going to work, and they are just trying to feed their Russian families, and they are all dead because they wanted to ask a guy a question. Hey, do you know where the Red Room is? And his answer to that question was, no. But I think I know who does, maybe might know. Yeah, let's probably try that. I don't know. It didn't seem that heroic, I guess, of a moment. And
I'm sorry, that Red Room was so massive with that thing hitting the ground, it would have caused a real big. That was like dropping Sokovia. Like it would have been an extinction level event over there. I just went splash in the water.
I was waiting for this big explosion. I was like, oh, and it was like, a little. The
it just hits the ground.
Waves a little bit.
The water rippled a little bit.
All those poor bunnies that just got squished.
No, they just got scared. It's okay.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And the thing is that going into this movie, I was excited because it's a Marvel film, and the thing that Marvel film, and not only just a Marvel film, it is the start of Phase 4. They're saying this is the first movie of Phase 4. So I'm thinking this is going to be the next, that, you know, we're leading into Phase 4, but it didn't really feel like this. It literally felt like a movie out of place, out of time.
How does this kick off Phase 4? It has nothing to do with Phase 4.
It does. They say that though.
They do. It is.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I see.
I'm just not disagreeing with you. It is the kickoff to Phase 4, but it's just like, what a weird ass movie to kick off Phase 4, because it really has nothing to do with the phase, right? I mean, the only thing we're going to get out of this down the road is Yelena, and then, you know, possibly we see Red Guardian come back later down the road. You know, maybe we'll see the Widows come back to help, and it's some new, you know, Dora Milaje type group that follow Yelena around and they fight crime, you know. But I mean, really, there's not going to be anything really concrete out of this. That's like, ooh, I can't wait. Looking forward to what they set up for the future out of this.
Which again made me a little sad because I had this glimmer of hope, and I don't care, everybody out there, I do not care that Disney heroes don't stay dead. I fucking love that shit. You can kill off a character and bring that fucker back. I wanted to see them back, and I was hoping that when Yelena whistled, I had this choked up moment. I was like, oh, we're going to hear a whistle. She's going to whistle back, and there was no whistle back or nothing, and it's fine. I get it. She's dead. She's gone. Peeps, let it go. But I just wanted a glimpse of hope that we may see Natasha Romanoff in the future, and we did it. And Frigginz, I'm sorry I've taken too much of your time.
I needed a buzzer to be like, meh, 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 meh.
Just do that next time. I want to hear some rants. I will go.
Well, look, you kind of covered, you and Don both, I mean, in talking about the different bad guys and the issues there and some of the physics issues. I'm not going to go all science and explain how that like explosion, there's like a 1 in 1 millionth chance that she didn't.
I do want to hear the science.
You want to hear? Well, let me get a chalkboard out real quick.
Oh,
no,
Fast and Furious science.
Yeah, exactly. Done. But yeah, so bad guy was definitely one of my big issues. I'll kind of just cut it brief to just two other points that I want to add. First and foremost, one of the things that I absolutely hate in movies that go back in time and do this like prequel or introquel or whatever is to explain a big event in someone's life or show us this big event in someone's life. And usually it fails. Like, for example, actually, Don, you and I were just talking about this in Fast and Furious, where we were talking about how like Dom's story was that he took a wrench and beat the crap out of some dude, and that's why he got into prison. So, we see a lot of that being explained. Another one is Han Solo. Like, they talk about the Kessel Run, and
I always wanted to know how he got his name too. So I appreciate that.
Exactly, and that too.
I guess
like,
I'm just Solo.
Like, is that not stupid? That was stupid. And seeing
but they did it though. I got it. Yeah.
and seeing the Kessel Run thing, like, it's not as cool as what everyone can envision on their own. And so for me, I think there are some things that are better left unexplained than over explaining, because our imagination can sometimes be way worse than anything that they're going to show us. So Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch had talked about Budapest so much that I was just like, that shit had to be crazy. So in my mind, I was having like just like a gore fest of a battle. And then this is the explanation of what happens in Budapest. And it was a little bit of a disappointment.
We didn't really see Budapest, though.
I mean, we don't see the whole picture, but like, we
get a snippet of it. But I think they gave us the, abridged version. Like, there was a lot more that went on to it, because she talks about how they hid out in that great for a couple days. And, the hideout had arrows in the wall. So were they fighting in the hideout too?
Exactly.
Like,
so they did try and leave a little bit of the vagueness there, but still it was just for them to come in and kind of explain. And this is the highlight. This is the snippet, right? So this is the thing that bothered her the most. And I felt like that was a little disappointing for me. Like I would have better left it into our imagination. So that was something that was a problem for me. And there's a lot of people like Dom, you said you liked the Fast 9 thing. And so there might be other people that like that was explained, but for me, that's a negative. And then there you go.
You and I remember Budapest very differently.
Yes, we do.
Wow.
Well done, sir.
Touché.
And then the last thing I'll mention just briefly was the prison break. I like the idea of what happened, but like just the kind of way it was filmed and some cinematic issues. And I thought it was a little too much on the joke side. I don't know, something about
that helicopter was made of adamantium or vibranium.
Vibranium, yeah. Is I saw the Black Panther logo on the side.
Okay, cool.
But but no, I mean, it was a cool concept, but I just think it wasn't done extremely well. So those are kind of the two additional complaints that I'll throw out there, and I'll just kind of keep it brief since Peeps took so long.
Wow.
Hey, it's all good, man.
No,
We don't have a time limit for no one.
I'm gonna leave, guys. I'm done.
Yeah. Well, I could take care of it. We could just go like this, and then he's got.
Yes, you got booted, peeps. You got booted.
I have the power. Anybody wants to step out of line. All right. Well, we'll transition now, obviously, to what did we love? What did we like out of this? And and I'll counter Fred's right away by saying I'm glad we got some Budapest stuff. So he hated it, but I was glad to get some. Like to me, I think that for me, this was the funnest part of the movie was getting the connections of different things like that, like hearing about Budapest. Like I didn't need to see a complete flashback and see all the action. Like I did want to hear about it. I did want to, once we knew she had to, when he drops off the mail to her trailer and he says like that's from the Budapest safe house, I'm like, oh shit, like and she's like wants nothing to do with it, and she's like throw it in the trash.
That
like
was cool.
I was like, cool, we're hinting on some stuff. I loved the little nod of her buying the blonde hair dye, and I'm like, oh shit, like I just love little connections like that, little Easter eggs that are like, oh, that leads to that, and that plants the seed for that, and so those little things. I'm gonna probably forget so much, but I mean, obviously, like I said, Yelena, like her coming in, Florence Pugh, shout out to Florence Pugh, so amazing. I am so glad that it looks like she's going to be our new Black Widow moving forward, and that she'll be brought into the team. And I mean, she's the fan favorite, dude. If you look online, you look at any social media, I haven't seen any hate for this character. I mean, everybody, even people that hate the movie are like, yo, she's amazing. So I loved it. I mean, I've been a fan of hers for years, since she did the Fighting with My Family movie. I thought that she was incredible on that. And just, I was so happy that she got casted. And she, like you said, Peeps, like to me, I think what worked with her was her personality, right? We got to see her poke fun. We got to see her make jokes. We got to see her be emotional. I mean, when I saw the movie the second time and she did the whole, like, it was real to me, like I started tearing up. I was like, oh my God, like it was real. We were family. Like it hit me, man. And I was like, damn, she's good. Like, and then her going to the room and having that moment with David Harbour's character and, him starting to sing the, American Pie from the flashback in the beginning, and having that father-daughter kind of moment of her song that she loved, and it just little things like that, man. Those emotional beats were incredible. Rachel Weisz, awesome. Like I said, David Harbour, dude, Red Guardian, hilarious. I loved every scene with him, man. Just everything from the beginning to just him, doing the arm wrestling in the jail, the escape, just his whole like, why are you girls mad at me? Like, is it your period? Like, he was just, his philosophy was so funny. He was so proud of them for all the kills they had done, and he was so proud.
Hey, wait, I got to ask you a question. The Captain America, did he talk about me?
I love that, and they're like, seriously, and just I just got out of prison, looking like a fox. But yeah, just those characters incredible. The Dreykov's daughter moment, that's something that goes back to Avengers 1, man, when she's having that conversation with Loki in the cell in Avengers 1. In that little interrogation scene, Loki says to her, like, can you wipe out that much red in your ledger? And he says, Dreykov's daughter, like, can you wipe that out?
Wow.
Like, he literally states that. And I was like, holy crap, that they just went full circle 10 years later to another movie. And actually, go back and look at Avengers 1 when they're having that back and forth. And she's talking about, I need to, I got red in my ledger and I need to clean it out. Loki says, well, can you wipe out that much red? And he's literally drops Dreykov's daughter to her, and that's when she starts tearing up. And then she figures it out and says, thanks for your cooperation, which she did at the end of this movie with Dreykov at the end after she, severed the nerve. And then, thanks for your cooperation. So I love those little connections. Her getting the vest from Yelena at the end of the movie, and then that's the vest she's wearing in Infinity War. Like I just love those little connective tissues, man. That's she had the blonde hair at the end, she had the vest, and you're just like, she gets the Quinjet, which her and Steve have in Infinity War, and you're just like, that's where we're going, man. That's what they just set up, and that's what they gave me. Like I said, man, I love the flow of it. I love the seriousness of the family, and just kind of how it went from, this is fake, to at the end being like, yeah, this is my family, and those are the big moments for me, was the family beats. The action I thought was really good. I mean, right from the beginning, seeing them as little kids doing the escape from Shield, and then all the way up to the haunting opening with the Nirvana song, and just kind of the Marvel movies don't usually have like the normal kind of movie credits at the beginning like that, but they're just the imagery of just everything they were showing, and just the way it just kind of rolls and plays out, man. It hit, man. It hit, and it did really, really well for me. So those were the outstanding kind of beats for me. I loved a lot of the connective tissues, kind of circling back, talking about Barton, talking about, like, we didn't have to have Avengers show up in this, but seeing, General Ross going after her because she broke the Sokovia Accords, right? She's on the run after Civil War. The Avengers have disbanded, and I loved hearing about that. We hear about Ant-Man and Sam and all them being in jail on the raft, like everything connecting to really paint the picture of where we're at. And then her at the end being like, I got to go break my friends out, and where it's going at that point. So just really cool stuff there, so yeah, those are some of the things that I really love. So Peeps, what were the standouts for you that kind of you walked away being like, oh, I love that?
Well, if that would be okay, I would like to go ahead and hand this over to Frigginz, since I took the time. Hopefully he'll forgive me for that earlier. So
I will show you how it is to be fair and share time.
Motherfucker! All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go.
Take it back. Take it back. Go ahead.
No.
Oh, I thought you were really taking it back. Okay.
No.
So yeah, I mean, I think you can't talk about Black Widow without talking about Florence Pugh stealing the show, right? You already covered that, Don, but I just want to reiterate that I 100% agree with pretty much everything you just said about her. And I think to expand on that, I would say that the cast all together and the kind of connection that they had really came through on screen. And I think we're so used to seeing the different characters within the Marvel Universe connecting in really cool ways, and especially over the time that it took to build these characters and show those connections and show those growth between those relationships. It was really interesting to see a one-shot film, show a family-oriented situation and all the like intricacies and complications, struggles, and still heart that they had for each other. And that, I think, speaks to the level of acting and the level of care that each of those actors took into displaying their characters. So I really have to give them a shout out as far as, the cast as a whole. We talked about Taskmaster kind of falling into that negative area because oftentimes we want to see it be like something like the comic. And so this is one of those ones where, for me, I actually think Taskmaster was a highlight of the film. And while I may not have agreed with kind of the overall change, like, you could replace the Taskmaster name and call it something else and that would work. But one, like, Taskmaster isn't a A or even B level character. There are a lot of fans of Taskmaster out there for sure, but what is the likelihood that you're going to get a Taskmaster? Yeah, okay, Peeps, you got it. Yep. But what is the likelihood that you're going to get a Taskmaster or a Batroc the Leaper or, whatever? Like, you're not going to get those characters being the main villain. So why not use them? And I have to say that I really enjoyed the menacing nature of this character, in particular with that fight with Black Widow in the beginning when they first had that encounter. I liked the mirroring aspect that they were doing and that kind of visual representation of Taskmaster learning their skills. And so I have heard some people complaining about that aspect of it being like, it shouldn't be a mirror, he's just studying them. But I thought that was a cool way to get the information across in a short 2-hour film or however long it is, to show the audience that this person mimics those individuals. And again, we got to see.
Well, we saw the footage. We saw the footage of him
Right.
watching or her watching the fight at the airport from Civil War, right? Of Hawkeye and Black
exactly,
Panther,
like doing
and
all
then,
the studying of the position.
Yeah, and so you kind of understood what he was doing and what he was kind of mimicking. And then Yelena talks about it later about how he can mimic any move and whatever subject he watches. Plus, they were downloading that damn that chip in the back of the neck, which I feel like was adding to that.
Yeah, here's some additional
Civil
info.
War.
Yeah.
Civil War. You can learn how to do all of it.
But also, Taskmaster looked freaking dope. I mean, especially with the
look
hood
cool.
up,
I know.
and
Didn't
like
wear
the
the hood
mask
enough.
was cool. I definitely could have used more hood, but it was more than I thought. But yeah, I liked the mask, and I thought that this overall design was really cool. So that was another really good aspect. And then I'll close on just talking about the opening sequence, because the opening sequence was kind of tricky for me, because when it started, I was like, oh man, I don't want to see these kid actors. Like, just give me to the action or something. And so I was
real quick. Did you know that young Natasha is Mila Jovovich's daughter?
I learned that.
I could see that.
Yeah, she looked exactly like her. I knew that.
Yeah.
I had to look it up after, because I was like, she looks just like Mila Jovovich, and sure enough, it was her daughter. So,
and I thought it was a pretty close comparison to what, like, that could be, Black Widow later on. I don't know. I thought they did a great job with casting on that level too. But yeah, I mean, from that beginning, I was a little bored at first. And then it just developed even more and more as it went on. And then by the end, when you start realizing this is like the Americans show or whatever, and like now they're on the run, and then like it just
Fred hates story. You just hate story.
I'm saying it's a positive. It worked itself up to be something amazing. So where I initially was like, oh come on, like eventually I was like, whoa, this is so cool. So I really like how it took me on that ride. And explain, and it also made it really hit later on when they were talking about, they were looking through the photo book, and she's like, "Oh, I remember that day," and I was like, "Oh, they remember that Christmas," and then they're like, "Yeah, we took all those pictures." I was like, "Oh shit!"
Christmas, Easter, birthday, all on the same day.
It was so cool. So, and that ties into the kind of like spy stuff, the spy genre that I really really like. So that was really fun to part of it. So I'll let Peeps have a little bit of. I may interject and throw in one other thing in a second, but I'll go ahead and pass the buck on over to you.
Oh, thank you. So yes, I mean things that I liked and enjoy. It's funny, contradicting myself right now. I apologize, everyone, but a lot of the villain aspects that I didn't like. There are a lot of the villain aspects that I did like, specifically as you were stating, DX, the menacing nature of the Taskmaster. Actually, I think Frigginz said that. But whenever Taskmaster was on screen, and she was about to start fighting, like it was like, oh snap, driving that big ass tank truck. Like I don't know how many people she killed by just like driving right over their cars, as if they were like little paper mache cars, but like that scene was kind of terrifying, and the fight between the two of them, and every time that Taskmaster fought, Taskmaster pretty much kicked ass, and I like that. One of my top, I think maybe 5 favorite MCU movies is Black Panther. The only and biggest issue I have with Black Panther is the CGI battle at the end of the movie. It's literally 2 computers going at each other. This movie didn't really have that. It was people, and this is a great example of just humans fighting and how amazing the action can turn out. And I think every single action scene, did it for me, if you will. And I really liked the effects with the dust, when the dust would flow in the air and then it would get on their face and skin, and you would literally see like it absorbing into their skin and going into their eyes, and then just kind of snapping out of it. That was like a really cool effect,
because it even looked like it did it a little bit to Natasha, like when it like hit like it zoomed on her and you could see it kind of going into her pores and her eyes turned red. So I'm like, was there a little something there?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
I
like
expected her to say something.
Yeah, because it looked like it was kind of doing that same, kind of effect that it did on Yelena earlier in the movie.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I gotta catch that. I gotta check that out the next time I watch it. And Oh, also to mirror what Frigginz was saying, the family aspect. There was a couple moments in this movie. Again, that's why I'm not, crapping on this movie altogether. That I got the feels. It gave me that, like feels, and then you have to think about it too. It's like, oh, they only spent 3 years together. Like, why does that really mean anything? But you have to understand, these people live life, like the spy life, where they are killing and murdering and espionage and this whole thing, where they had 3 years of their life where they didn't do any of that. Just normal people pretending to be a family, but even though they're pretending, there had to be some realism in there, and you see when they interact, again, the feelings that they truly had for each other. And this will lead me into my Yelena. I first saw Florence Pugh in I say first, but I've only seen her in
Midsommar.
Midsommar, yes. And she is so incredible in that movie. She is absolutely amazing in that movie. And her performance in this movie, again, just blew me away. I was excited for her, but then the execution was perfect. I didn't have any expectations. It was just amazing. I can't wait to see her in the Hawkeye TV show coming up. I can't wait to see her interact with the other Avengers, like Thor, oh, you're the big. And I could just imagine and picture the interactions between her and everybody else. So she's a witty character, and I like it. Lots of people died. This was no Disney movie, you know what I mean? They didn't show bodies, but there's a lot of people that died in this movie. So
rated R would have been a little bit cooler, right?
Always.
It could have been just a little bit cooler. Saw a little bit more blood from Scarlet Witch falling out of the helicarrier, and she had no blood, 0 blood. But those things are fun again, just to kind of mirror what you guys are saying.
Well, this was funny at the when they at the very end there, after they've landed on the ground, and Red Guardian and Melina walk up, and Melina's limping, and Black Widow goes, "Is everybody okay?" And she goes, "I'm clearly injured." Clearly. I was like, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I'm clearly injured.
Such a poser thing to say.
That face swap, did that surprise you? I'm usually pretty good about catching things, and I even saw those masks in the background. I was like, "Oh, those are probably face masks." And then when it happened, that totally caught me off guard. I was like, "That was dope." So it's rare that they get me, but they got me on that one.
Yeah,
they got me.
I agree. I was surprised on that one too. I said the same thing, Fred. I saw the mask in her little room there in the off the kitchen, and didn't even think twice about it, even though because I feel like we've seen that before, right? We did it in Winter Soldier, and she in Winter Soldier. She did it in Winter Soldier. At the end, she plays the other secretary chick, and then she starts fighting, and peels it off. But I did, when Dreykov was like, "I know it's you," and then peels it off, I was like, "Oh shit!" Because I totally thought they were gonna go the villain route with Melina, that she was die hard through and through, with that organization, and that was that, So I'm pleasantly surprised to see that she turned on him after all of that. So that was really cool. That was a good twist that I didn't see coming.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. And I don't know. And I don't know what what the future holds for the Widows. I know we're talking about positives, but it does kind of upset me a little bit that Black Widow isn't just a person. She is just a part of the Widows. Yeah. So there's Black Widows now. So I don't know. You think Yelena's going to be the White Widow?
I think so. She was already wearing the suit. They could
the Blonde Widow.
They never really referred to Natasha as Black Widow very much, though, either.
They're doing it now. We got a Scarlet Witch. We got a Loki.
What are you, some kind of Black Widow?
He said it. No.
Yeah, it's some kind of Suicide Squad.
They could just say Widow, right? And then it doesn't matter which color. She can have a blue suit or
she's
a yellow
just a widow.
suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. You're right though about the family part, peeps. I mean, if you think about it, Yelena was only 6 when she got taken, right? So if she spent 3 years with that family, I mean, you don't remember shit for your first 3 years of your life. So honestly, everything she could add memories of was with that family. That was her family. That was her mom and dad. That was her sister. So, you know, you can see like when she's like, you were my sister. And then she's like, it was all fake. And she's like, she kind of looked at her like at that beginning part and she was just kind of like, what, you know, because that was her sister, you know. And even for Natasha's, you know, role, it's like, yeah, she was older, but you remember she got taken at a very young age and then trained, you know. So that was probably the only family time she ever had consistently was those 3 years, you know. So so you can understand the connection there for sure. And that was I got it, man. Like you said, the feels were definitely there, especially in the second go around once you really kind of understand how everything kind of plays out. So we got what we didn't like, we got what we loved, you know. Let's move forward to the post-credit scene. Of course, Marvel. This is what Marvel's, you know, one of the biggest things they're known for, right? We always got post-credit scene. I was a little bummed that there wasn't a mid-credit scene. I feel like lately all these movies have a mid-credit and then they have a very, you know, end stinger. This one here, you got to wait to the very, very, very end. There's nothing mid. Nothing very, very end. There is nothing in the middle here. So that was kind of a bummer because we've just waited 1.5 years to see a Marvel movie and we only got one. But it was a very cool one and kind of setting up where the future goes here. So we, you know, the end comes on, we see Elena, she jumps out of a truck, she's got a dog with her, and then she is walking through to a small little cemetery, and of course we see Natasha's gravestone. So we've now caught up in the current timeline. Natasha's gone now after Endgame, and you see her tombstone says you know, sister Avenger, daughter sister Avenger, which I thought was awesome. Nice little nod there. And just heartbreaking moment of her kind of fixing the little, you know, the gravestone, putting up the little stuffed animal and doing the whistle, like you said, Peeps, and you're almost like like waiting to hear it back. You're like, please, come on, I want to hear something. But nothing's there. And then as she's, you know, paying her respect, Julia Louis-Dreyfus pops up and we've now seen her from Falcon and Winter Soldier as she popped up there. What's her name? Contessa Valenzuela. Val. Yeah, we'll call her Val. We'll just go with Val. But, you know, Val popped up in Falcon and Winter Soldier. She, at the end of that show, she recruited John Walker, and it looks like she's kind of putting together her own little team. So she's with Yelena here, and Yelena's like, hey, I'm on vacation. Why are you bothering me? And she's like, I know. So they're obviously working together. And she says, I have your next mission here. And she pulls out an iPad and says, I think you're going to like this one. This is the guy that killed your sister. And of course, the picture on the iPad is Hawkeye in his Ronin outfit, by the way, from Endgame. So she's kind of like, there you go. There's your mission, right? And we, you know, end the scene with a close up of the picture of Hawkeye. Awesome scene. I mean, I was curious where they were going to go with a post-credit scene for this movie because obviously Black Widow's dead, right? So where do we kind of lean in? And I was hoping it would be Elena and kind of what's next steps for her, right? Is she meeting Nick Fury? Is she meeting, like, where's she going kind of next? And seeing it tie in with Val was really cool because, you know, it ended up kind of playing out backwards for Marvel because the Val was supposed to be this post-credit scene first, and then you see her pop up again in Falcon and Winter Soldier because that was the way the timeline was supposed to be. But because of the pandemic, they came out in reverse. So we've already seen that character now from Falcon and Winter Soldier. So it still worked out. I mean, it was cool again because if you've seen, do you? Okay, yeah, I think it does too because we actually found out more about her from Falcon and Winter Soldier because I feel like if you only saw this post-credit scene, everybody would have walked away being like, who the fuck was that? You know, like who, like, so we got the explanation in Falcon and Winter Soldier of who she is and how she's this mysterious character who's kind of putting a team together and she's kind of doing her own little side missions. So it did play out, I think, better as well too, Fred. And but hell of a tease, man, because we've heard the rumors that she is going to be in the Hawkeye TV show. And I've seen a lot of set photos of the TV show of Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop and of Hawkeye and stuff like that. But I haven't seen her in any set photos. I haven't really seen much else. And when they confirmed the cast for Hawkeye, she was not on the confirmation. So I was like, man, is she in it or is she not in it? And
I
feel like they did that on purpose, obviously, to kind of have that moment of like, oh shit, like she is going to pop up in this and, you know, maybe be the bad guy in the TV show going after him, you know? So I like the manipulation there. Obviously, we know how this is going to play out. I mean, you would think she would know a little bit better because she's talked about Barton multiple times. I don't, you know, but it's the way they're playing it out. You know, we do know she's dead. Nobody knows the true story of what the hell happened right on a space planet. So this could play out a lot of different ways. So you could see how she could be manipulated. It's like, you know, Batman being manipulated to fight Superman, right? So, you know, it's just the right people planting those seeds to be like, hey, you know, this is the person. Go get him. But I do love it. I mean, so now we're going to see that happen again. I think that's going to bring her one step closer to being an Avenger or kind of getting into that bigger picture once she, you know, syncs up with him and she finds out obviously how close they were and how he would never do something like that. And he tried to sacrifice himself first, you know, so, but a hell of a post-credit scene, man. I love seeing that. I was so stoked to see the picture of Hawkeye on there because I just love things coming full circle and kind of piecing properties together. And we know that that's supposed to be our next live action show, hopefully on Disney Plus. So we'll see, man. We'll see how it plays out. And that was kind of a cool way to let us know that we're going to see Elena back sooner rather than later. So, so Fred, what'd you think of that post-credit scene?
I feel like this is going to be the lead up to like a Thunderbolts. Like, to me, it seems like that like Nick Fury showed up and, you know, recruited Tony Stark to do the Avengers. I think this is the opposite side of that, the shadow version. So we'll get the U.S. agent we already know is kind of been recruited and setting up, and then now the White Widow or the Black Widow or the whatever Widow, and then, you know, is Kate Bishop going to be on that side, or are they going to get like you know, fight a villain, maybe Bullseye or somebody, and
Abomination?
And maybe they get, you know, recruited over to this Thunderbolts thing. But I just feel like this has that Suicide Squad kind of vibe to it, with the Amanda Waller is this Val version, right? And she's putting together her bad team, but instead of planting bombs in their heads and threatening them, she's gonna, you know, manipulate the scenarios. But that's kind of where I was going with it. As far as, so I asked a couple of my buddies, Peeps was one of them, had seen the show, the film before I got a chance to see it, and I was like, is it worth staying to watch after the credits? Because I had some stuff to do and I was kind of in a hurry.
I can't believe you asked that, Fred.
I know, but there's some of them that just ain't worth it, man.
Should I leave?
And everyone was like, yeah. And I sat there and I was just like, God dang it, I should have just left. Like, it was kind of weak to me for an after credit scene, because to me an after credit scene should be something, a lead up to something that's coming, that's big, and something that's, you know, to me theatrical. Like, if it's just leading up to the show, I want the shows to, you know, of course, be connected, but let them kind of lead up to themselves. And
Frigginz wanted a Spider-Man trailer.
I wanted something for Spider-Man. I wanted something for Shang-Chi, a little hint, a little nod. Shang-Chi, right?
Shang-Chi,
my bad.
Thank you.
It's been like 7 years something of saying Shang-Chi, so it's gonna take me a minute to get it. It is not always worth it, Steve. Maybe, but like the Grandmaster coming out of the thing at the end of Ragnarok, and that was the worst wait for the stupid after credit. But anyway, so yeah, that was my thoughts. Thunderbolts, and that.
Well, that's why sometimes it sucks to have the two, because then one's a joke one, and then the other one's like the real one. You know,
exactly.
Yeah. Just eating shawarma.
That was good though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thoughts on the end credits. It's funny. I'm kind of in between the two of you, because exactly what, you know, we already established. DX, the whistle again. Just that instant where she goes to the grave of her, you know, sister, and, you know, puts her hand on the tombstone and then does the whistle. Like, that alone was,
she put her head
really
on it,
good.
which she did with Scarlet at the end of the movie. They did the forehead kind of
touch.
So she did that to the tombstone.
See, like, that alone, like, that was a beautiful scene. That was a beautiful moment, and I feel like that was needed to see that. You know, again, we know that she dies, but Yelena doesn't know. But then we actually get to see, you know, her reaction and her, you know, to that. So I loved that. But when Frigginz was like, should I stay? I'm like, I mean, you don't really need to stay because it's not going to show you anything that you gotta know. Like, okay, she's going to return, in the Hawkeye TV show. So I don't know how I feel about Val yet. I don't really like her character that much. She's just like this silly.
She hasn't had enough time to do anything.
Sure, but she's just like Elaine, like,
Yes.
Hey, how you doing? We got you still doing stuff for our team. Wuzzle. I can't dance, but I don't know. Like,
that's a stretch, but
she's silly. She's silly, and I don't know if I'm supposed to be concerned. I don't know if I'm supposed to, and I'm sure that's the plan. That's the idea. Like, we are. Like, where's this character going? What is this character doing? And, so far we see that she's kind of recruiting those, she might get Punisher on her team next. Who knows? But she's kind of getting these.
Yeah, because she's not really getting villains. Because, I mean, John Walker kind of redeemed himself somewhat by the end of the show. Obviously, Elena's not a villain. So, but it's like this, like, Avengers B squad, right? Like, she's like, here's kind of maybe the cast-offs or the like the people that have been kind of shifted to the side.
And I love. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say both are killers too, right? Like,
sure.
U.S. agent was a soldier, and he's presumably killed people in action, but also was caught on camera killing somebody. And then she is literally an assassin. So that's kind of a hint towards maybe the anti-hero. So maybe Punisher is not too far off.
That's what I'm saying. And that's why when you said Abomination DX, I'm like, spot on. I mean, yes, he became a monster, but he was still like a good guy. He was just a war hero, and he just wanted to take out the Hulk, and he had the power and strength to do so. And he was a little careless, but he just got the Hulk, the Abomination powers. He had some time to think about what he did.
He's got 10 years in that skin now. So
Blonsky, I think was his name.
Yes.
So yeah, man, I would love to see some other characters. Like, as you were talking, I was trying to think, like, are there any other bad-ish characters, like maybe a Zemo, but he has one goal, so I don't really think we're going to see Zemo on a team like that. He would be running it if anything. So
yeah, seriously.
But yeah, I don't know. I would love to see where it goes, and it was an okay. The beginning of it was amazing. The last part of it was just like fine. Is basically saying subscribe to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Well said.
They all are connected, man. That's the big deal now. We got to be ready because everything's leading into everything, as we just saw with Loki. The whole future is about to change, all because of a Disney Plus show. So there's going to be some confusion out there if you ain't watching these shows. So
hey, no spoilers on the Black Widow episode. We don't want to ruin anyone who hasn't seen Loki yet.
I'm just saying, big implications on the MCU here.
It's okay if you guys don't have time to watch the TV shows. Just tune into the People's Forum. We'll keep you updated with everything that's going on in the MCU TV.
People's Forum now on Apple iTunes or whatever it's called.
Apple Podcast.
That's your platform. You should know what it's called.
I know, right? It's the only thing it listens to.
Whatever that thing is that I always use every day.
One more thing I thought of, I'm going to circle back to what we didn't like. And let's see if anybody else has an answer to this. So the very end of the movie, right? They're like, okay, let's get the hell out of here, right? Ross is on the way. Blah, blah, blah.
I know what you're going to say.
I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna handle this. You guys go. Okay, thanks. Fade to black. 2 weeks later. What the fuck happened right after that?
She changed her hair, Don. And then she was able to get away.
No, she did not change her hair right then and there. I want to know what the hell happened. Like, how do you fade to black in that moment, right? Like, 20 cars are pulling up right there to her spot. She's staying back. Like, I can see, I mean, obviously she probably cut a deal like, hey, I just gave you the whole red room. I took the red room down. Like, you guys should be so happy. Here's the fucking flash drive. Here's where all these girls are getting kidnapped,
Yes.
Let's bargain. But at this point, we've only seen Ross being like, yo, I'm not taking it easy on you. You need to come in. You broke the accords, blah, blah, blah. So how do you skip that? Like, how do you skip the confrontation? Like, it just pissed me off so bad both times I saw it that it just fades to black and jumps 2 weeks later. And she's just like, la, 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 I'm on a motorcycle. And like, let's go on to the next mission. I'm like, what just happened? Like, what happened with Ross? Like, how did she get away? So please tell me that bugged the rest of y'all.
Okay. I'm going to add I'm going to add to this complaint, and then I'm going to tell you how you fix it. So first, adding to the complaint, here we have the widows in the Red Room, and they have a flying freaking building, right? And they have all these badass jets, and their soldiers are decked out in this crazy armor with helmets and guns and shit. And she calls in Ross with fucking Hummers and Jeeps. Like, come on. Like, what were they gonna do? Like, if she set their alarm off and they're rolling up in their Hummer and they're like, why is this alarm going off 10,000 feet up in the air? This doesn't, like, what? They don't have jets. They don't have helicopters. They don't have, like, this futuristic tech. I mean, that was stupid too. So I totally feel you, Don. And then fix it. I think Peeps might know where I'm going with how you fix it. Is you have what would have been another movie, yeah, where like she sets this alarm and she's on this building, and Ross jumps out the airplane and he lands and turns into Red Hulk, and then he just starts smashing shit up. I mean, come on.
That is not where Peeps was at all. Let me just.
Come on, Ross being Red Hulk would have been awesome. Bringing that thing down.
That would have been like the biggest like Marvel secret, I feel like, ever if Red Hulk was in this fucking movie,
Yeah.
People would have went nuts.
Of course.
Well, they're saving that for the Thunderbolts.
There you go.
There you go.
No, I was going to save this for my closing, but yes, DX, that part in particular, I don't know if that was planned or if it was just an oversight. And I want to have enough faith in Marvel to know that they're not going to leave any stones unturned. And as much as a stretch the statement is that I just made a little bit ago, like how cool would it be, I guess, if we had like something else that kind of continue, because I personally am interested in what comes next. Like, how does she rescue the rest of the widows? How I would love to see the family come back together for one last mission before she eventually dies. But that's the rough part, is because we still know her eventual fate, so we know she has immunity through the movie. But with this whole tomfoolery and fuckery with time and space, I don't know, man. Like, they could do something wacky with this and to give us an answer, but I said the same thing. I'm like, so was she arrested, or did she cut a deal, or did she just kill them all? Because I don't think I remember seeing Ross in Infinity War. So
he's at the funeral at the end of Endgame.
He is at the funeral, or somebody that looks like him.
Yeah. It was a scroll.
This scroll.
Yeah, so that was beef, but I don't know if we're still talking about like issues with it, but another piece, and I'm going back again.
There it is. What didn't we like?
What didn't we like? Okay. And I mentioned this before. In terms of the future of Marvel, I mean, Loki and WandaVision have done so well at giving us the future of what Marvel has to hold. And I feel like there's so much potential for this movie, even if it is like a potential Red Hulk teaser or some kind of like something else other than the 45-second end credit scene that teases more of the future, more of Marvel. And I mean, I'm okay with nobody popping up in this movie because the timing of this movie was perfect. Everyone's on the run. Either they're locked up or they're trying to get away. So it makes sense that she's alone, and I'm okay with that. But like, man, something. And I wish I had examples for you guys. And this is a thing that I normally try to do of how I could have fixed the thing and how they could have led into other things. But I just would have liked to see more of that, more connection to the actual future of the MCU. But at the same time, I think a lot of people,
two of the biggest movies that we got. Infinity War.
That already happened. You're right.
Yeah, it led in perfectly.
But you definitely said it earlier. Like, if this movie had come immediately after Civil War, I think it would have been so much better. Like, there's
totally.
Especially that moment when Taskmaster said "shink" with the claws. You're like,
yeah,
I know who does stuff like that. We haven't seen that movie yet. Yeah.
Right, because that's the skill, or and then the weaponry that he got from Black Panther. Exactly.
And when she pops up in Infinity War with the blonde hair and the vest, we would have been like, "Oh shit!" Like that's from her movie. That's where we left off.
Yeah.
It would have made more sense because I remember watching Infinity War being like, why the fuck she got blonde hair? Like it didn't even like connect with me that she was on the run and that was why she did it. But like I just remember being like, why does she have this in this movie?
Everybody even had like speculations in the trailer. Why does she have blonde hair?
Now it makes total sense.
Yeah. And it's funny, I didn't even notice they mentioned the vest, and I've heard about and now we know where she got the vest. I'm like, I didn't even fucking notice that vest. I know.
Yeah, I did too.
I was just going to say
because it's the one movie she's not wearing a Black Widow outfit.
And the two of you are like so spot. Like you notice any change in costumes. You see Captain America's new costume. I'm like, that shit looks exactly like the last movie.
No,
like, no way. The star is 2 inches higher. It's navy blue. Like it's. I don't know. So I'm glad that stuff was in there for you guys, but I didn't even catch it. So I was like, she had a vest with pockets? Cool. But like Taskmaster as a whole, like this character has personality. He's a mercenary. He goes for whoever is paying him the most. And to have a character like that working for Dreykov, like makes sense because he's paying him the most. But there could be a moment where Black Widow destroys all of Dreykov's assets and he's like, wait, you're not paying me? Well, fuck this. And then just leaves or helps her
like a Slade.
Exactly. And we don't have that at this time. And yes, we have a Deadpool, but to see a character like Slade, which is literally Taskmaster, and then we're getting Deadpool coming in the future and the potential of those two coming at each other, I would love to see that. And Taskmaster is really cool. He has he didn't once throw the shield and it bounced off like 2 or 3 walls and hit a person like Captain America does. He didn't do the thing. We didn't see a lot of the mimicry from Taskmaster that we normally would. So they pulled a Trevor Slattery on us, right? The Mandarin, and they even did it, I think, recently with another character where we thought it was something and they changed it to something a little sillier than what we were expecting. So that is a little frustrating because personally, I've liked Taskmaster back from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when we thought Ward was potentially going to be Taskmaster.
That's right.
I was super excited about that. And the fact that, but also at the same time, that's not to say that that's who she won't be going forward. She didn't have a personality. She was mind-controlled robot. Now that is no longer a thing, that might be her thing. Yeah. That might be Taskmaster going forward.
They left her alive for a reason, and Marvel doesn't do that without a plan at some point.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
They made a point to be like, take her on the ship with us. So, so she's out there. So in 10 years, like Trevor Slattery, we'll see a new Mandarin at the screen along with Taskmaster.
I hope he's in Shang-Chi, to kind of bounce off of that Marvel short that they had. Like
that'd be funny. That would be good. All right, well, we got to move to final thoughts, man. We've talked about the things we liked, the things we didn't like, the post-credit scene. So overall final thoughts, your overall score as we kind of start to wind this down. So, Fred, I'm going to bounce it to you first. Final thoughts, my friend.
Cool. I mean, the best thing I could say is this is a spy movie more than it is a superhero movie. Just like I said in the beginning, I got what I was expecting in that sense. So if you like that genre and you like the superhero genre, it's a great mixture. So I feel like I got what I wanted when I came out of the theater. Again, we've talked about some problems and some really amazing things. So it's got a little bit of everything there for you. But I think there's enough character development. There's enough good story, which everyone seems to think I don't like story for some reason. There's a lot of really cool over-the-top action and good graphics. And as you mentioned, Peeps, some of that action is actually very realistic and not so much the CGI battles that
Very practical.
Practical is the word. Thank you. And not the CGI battles that we typically get with these big, blockbuster type movies. So if all that sounds good to you, I think you'll like it. It gave me what I wanted and even a little bit more. So yeah, I think it's good. It's fun. It's not mind-blowing. Like, I didn't walk out of there thinking it's my favorite, as you could tell through our discussion here. But just overall, I think it was a great time, and then it's Marvel keeps doing it. Oh,
yeah, buddy.
Scores, right?
Score.
Out of 5. I have to look because I actually forgot what I gave it. Oh yeah, I went ahead and gave 4.5 out of 5. I bumped up to half just a little bit because it just really, I was teetering between 4, but I give it that extra credit for the core group, the cast really pulled through for me, and of course Florence Pugh. I mean, she just stole the show entirely.
Killed it.
And so I bump it up with that 4.5.
All right, Peeps, what you got?
Well, your boy Peeps. As we've been talking about, we've been excited for this movie for a long time. I personally stayed in a park at Comic-Con 2019 and I slept in some muddy, grass overnight so that I can go to the Marvel event. They gave us all Black Widow hats. I feel like an ass because I couldn't find my Black Widow hat for our Black Widow discussion. But I promise you guys, I have a Black Widow hat. But they showed us that the fight scene on the bridge at Comic-Con that has not been in any trailers. So I've been excited for this movie for a while. Yes, there are a lot of things that I nitpick about this movie. Even the fact that we had a super soldier and Falcon and Winter Soldier made it sound like, wait, there's another super soldier? Well, apparently this Red Guardian has been quite famous for he has a toy.
He has a toy.
So you guys know there's another super soldier out there. Nobody talked about him, but he's in this movie. But whatever. We're not going to nitpick on that kind of stuff. Like Frigginz said, Florence Pugh just killed this movie for me in a good way. Even like some little like moments that didn't really do anything for the story, like when they were up in the helicarrier and the Black Widows were like doing their little point, twirl, roll on the ground, stand up, point, twirl. I was like, this is fucking cool. How long does it take all of them to memorize that shit? Like, that was cool as hell. And like the practical effects on it, it was, I had fun. My little ones had fun sometimes. And overall, like it was, I was entertained. I wasn't upset. I wasn't angry about anything. It sucks, dude, because 24 movies that are just fucking amazing. And then this one comes out. And for me, it looks like it's not going to stack up. It's going to look like a bad movie, but that's just in compared to all these like, titans of a movie in my eyes. Yeah. So, but how it stacks up to the other titans, it doesn't really. But as a film, as Frigginz was saying, it gives you the spy shit. It gives you some superhero shit. It gives you some like comedy shit, like it and some action. Like there's a lot in this movie, and the last thing, and I'll end with this, is the family. They talk about family in Fast and Furious, but you actually feel it in this one.
Well said.
They do a great job at even little things like, you don't hold on to the past. Oh, you don't hold on to the past, then why do you have that photo album? Why you still have that photo album that I was trying to get as we're running away? And she's like, I don't want to talk about that shit. All right, let's not look at this stuff. You know what I mean? Like all of them, they all loved that moment of their life, and they don't rub it in your face. I feel like that much. They show you, and you can see it in their acting, and I love that part about this movie. So they did an excellent job with family, and for that, I'm giving it a 4. I'm giving it a 4.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, I'm going to pretty much echo a lot of those same sentiments. It's like we're 24 films into the MCU. We're about to do our ranking, and and I know I see a lot of people on Twitter and stuff like that that are like, oh, this is lower tier Marvel, or this is mid tier Marvel. And it's like, well, what did you expect, right? Like, it's a Black Widow movie. I mean, honestly, like, this movie's never going to compete with any of the super powered people that can have grander spectacle and bigger stories. But for what this is, it gave us what we wanted. It gave us the best thing I think they could have done with a Black Widow movie without it being like an origin story of just her going through the Red Room and, oh, here's my first mission, and then her deflecting the shield. Like, we could have gotten something really generic like that, but I like that we got something that was a prequel, but it's only a couple years back in between a couple big events. Like I said, the family aspect of this really elevates it. It brings it to another level because everybody brought their A game. I thought Scarlett was amazing in this. She emotes so well from just her eyes, like, and that's what I love about her. Like, she does the glossy eye thing really well, where it's like she doesn't give you the emotion, but you see it in the glossy eye, right? Like, she feels it and she doesn't want to say it, like, and you get that. And she did that really well in the other movies too. I mean, I just rewatched the first Avengers yesterday, and you know, the very first time she meets Banner and he says, "Don't lie to me," and she pulls out the gun, her eyes are just glossy because she's so scared, but she holds it like so still, and she's just holding the gun there, you know, but she's like, please don't turn into the Hulk. You know, but like she's done that several times throughout the movies, and I think she just emotes so well without even saying a word. So she was amazing. We've talked about Florence Pugh, just a whole nother level with the humor, you're such a poser, like, like why do you always do that pose? And and then she's doing the thing.
No, it's not for me.
Yeah, and then she did it at the end, and she's like, ew, like, and just little moments like that, even like her hugging, Red Guardian, and then she's like, okay, let me go, like, you stink really bad, like stuff like that. Like, she just had such a good, side to her that made her, like, she could still be badass in this assassin, but she just had a lot of heart, and that was great. David Harbour killed it amazing to bring in the Red Guardian, this like Russian Captain America, but he was just, he wanted, and he, even him throughout the movie, wanting to apologize to Natasha, but he could never say it, right? Like, every time he tried, she wasn't listening. Or the time he was like he's like, you don't even have a comm, and he's like, what? Well, I don't have an earpiece, and just those moments, and then at the end when they're like, do you got something you want to say? And he's like, nah, just mess it up anyway, like, so he finally had that moment. And so he was amazing. Rachel Weisz was amazing. The action was incredible, even though sometimes it was a little Fast and Furious-y, but it was really, really good. And just so at the end of the day, is this going to be in anybody's top 10? Probably not, but but it fits. It fits in. It was great to be back in the theater to see an MCU movie. I thought it delivered on all fronts. Like I said, I liked it even more the second time. I will buy this movie when it comes out. Like, we'll add it to the collection. Like, I can't wait to sit down and see it again. I thought it did its job very, very well. So I'm gonna agree with you, Peeps. I give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was really awesome. I mean, like I said, it's not that top level 5-star MCU, but for just an action, no superpower, just fun thrill ride, it delivers really on pretty much all fronts. So give it a good 4 out of 5 there. So guys, that is Black Widow, now in theaters, and of course also streaming on Disney Plus with Premier Access, where you can basically rent it for several months for $30 and watch it as many times as you want. It's available on Premier Access all the way up till October 6th, which is when it'll release on Disney Plus for free to everybody else to just watch it on the regular platform. So, so that's that. Like I said, box office wise, man, this thing killed it. We got to mention the box office. The pandemic has been a struggle. Movies have not been opening super strong, right? Like, the biggest we had a couple months ago was Godzilla versus Kong, and made $50 million. And everybody was like, oh my God, it's amazing. And then, Fast 9 came out and it made 60 million. And it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then Black Widow hits and it brings in $80 million just domestically. And then another 60 million just from that $30 Disney Plus down there, which is insane. Disney has never talked about financials from their Premier Access. Like, this is something they started last year. They kicked it off with Mulan, and then they did it with Raya and the Last Dragon. They did it with Cruella. never talked money, right? Because I don't think they did very well. So there was nothing to really discuss. But Black Widow proved that people will drop $30 if the right movie comes out. And that's what they did here, man. It looked like I saw several polls, and it was a pretty 50-50 split between theatrical and Disney Plus over the weekend. And I think the last time I saw the poll, it was like a 60-40 now, with Disney Plus kind of leading out. A lot of people watch this staying at home. But a lot of people are going out to the theaters too, and it crossed 100 million right out the gate within the first couple of days. First, movie to do that in a long time, and then now it's made over close to 300 million worldwide. Is this money it would have made pre-pandemic? It probably would have been $1 billion movie, So, but we're just so far away from those days that hey, a couple hundred million is like, yeah, like here we go. But it's good to see, man. I think it proves once again that if you have the right movie in the movie theater, people will go see it. And it also goes for the whole day and date thing. This is something these streamers have been struggling with is, do we just go theater? Do we just go streaming? Do we do both? HBO Max pissed off a lot of people in the movie theater industry because they were doing day and date, but most of their movies that have done that have opened at #1 in the box office, and it's available to watch at home for free, right? If you have the service. And this is something you got to pay $30 for, and $60 million was made, off doing that, along with another 80 in the box office. So once again, it proves that people will do both. I think it's good for people to have choices, for the people that probably have big families and don't want to run to the theater with that. You can pop some popcorn at home and watch it for $30 and enjoy, invite people over and everybody can watch it.
Yeah.
Or you can run to the theater and see it in IMAX and see it. And this was actually playing in 3D at the AMC, which I was like, damn, I haven't seen a 3D movie posted in quite some time, So I bet that end scene would look really cool. And
I was just thinking that,
as everything's falling from the sky.
Right.
So I mean, just incredible. It's good to see the MCU back and see it back up on the big screen, man. It's been fun. And now we're on a roll, man. In just a couple months, we got Shang-Chi September 3rd. And we got the Eternals in November. Then we got Spider-Man No Way Home in December. So we're just getting on this roll now, man. And that will continue into next year. We got Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness in March. We got Thor Love and Thunder in May. And it's just going to continue on and on from there. So Ant-Man 3 is currently filming, and man, things are heating up in the MCU. We're getting back to normal, and it's just glad to see it back, man. It's been long overdue. So and then, like I said, we just had Loki wrap up on Disney Plus. We got What If coming out next month on Disney Plus, and then we'll see when the next live action one's going to drop. It's either going to be Hawkeye or it's going to be Miss Marvel. They haven't officially determined yet which one's next, but it'll be one of those two to wrap up the rest of the year. So hopefully it's Hawkeye now after seeing this. I want to see
right?
Yeah. I need to see what's next. So there you go. So all right, so this is the time, man. Every time we do Marvel, we got to hit up that MCU countdown, man. Ooh. 24 films. I want to keep it to just the films. I know some people have started doing their list with the Disney Plus shows kind of inserted. That's a little bit harder to judge, a whole TV show.
That's a whole list on its own.
Yeah, I have it as a separate list.
Yeah. I will probably at some point make a separate list that includes the shows in there as well too. But for sake of the argument, we're just going to keep it to theatrical movies, the 24 films that have been released to date as of right now. So who would like to begin our countdown here? Why don't we have Fred and Peeps do a little rock, paper, scissors, and then we'll hit up the MCU countdown.
Well, I have a question. Do you prefer going 10 to 1 or 1 to 24? Or how many are we doing?
24 to 1.
You're doing all 24. What are you talking about? But so start at 24 and work your way to 1.
I'm ready if you're not ready, buddy.
Go for it, Peeps.
Okay.
All right. Peeps,
all right.
You got it.
All right. So I am 100% going to get the numbers wrong, like I do every time.
Every time.
All right.
Not using Letterbox yet? Come on.
Off and on. All right. So starting with number 24, and I'll just go down. Iron Man 2. Worst movie in the MCU. I've had a lot of issues with this movie. Then we're going with the first Thor movie after that. Then we're going to Iron Man 3. A lot of issues with that one too. And then the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk film, which is an MCU film for those of you that don't know. Then we're going to Miss Marvel, which is probably going to fall down even further. But
there's no Miss Marvel movie.
Captain Marvel, I apologize. Captain Marvel. All right, then we're going with
Use your
Thor.
numbers, man. I'm losing my place with you.
Okay, so number 20 is Captain Marvel.
There we go.
Okay.
19 is Thor 2. 18 is the Captain America First Avenger. 17, Black Widow. 16, Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. 15 is Doctor Strange. 14 is Thor 3. 13 is Ant-Man 2. 12 is Ant-Man. 11 is Captain America Civil War. It's Captain America 3. All right, now we're in the top 10.
Wow.
Number 10 is Spider-Man 2. Number 9 is Spider-Man 1. Number 8 is the original Iron Man. Number 7 is Avengers. Number 6 is Black Panther. Now, my top 5 MCU movies is Guardians of the Galaxy 2 for number 5, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 for number 4. Then we got Endgame number 3. And then we got Captain America 2, which is the Winter Soldier. And then the number 1 movie of Marvel and potentially of all time is Infinity War.
Nice.
Interesting, man. Your list is wow. It is way off from mine.
Yep.
I can't believe how low you had Ragnarok. That really threw me off. Would you have that at like 14?
That was 14 under the
God
Ant-Man's.
damn.
Yeah.
Wow. That's insane. All right, Fred, let's redeem this.
What was interesting? I'm bringing it. I have to say, we actually had a couple movies land on the same number, so that was kind of interesting. And the first movie that we had land on the same exact number was number 24, Iron Man 2. I have that at the very bottom as well. Number 23, I have Iron Man 3. As you peeps, I had issues with both of those. It blows my mind when I see people have Iron Man 3 so high up on the list. But hey, cool. If it works for you, it works for you. That's awesome. Number 22, I have Thor, The Dark World. Number 21, I have The Incredible Hulk. Number 20, I have Avengers Age of Ultron.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
You have Black Widow higher than Age of Ultron?
Sure do. I enjoy that way more.
Can I kick him out? Remove.
And he's back.
I got snapped, but they brought me back. Number 19 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, 18 and 17 I'm struggling with. These might shift with a rewatch, but as of right now, I have 18 Captain Marvel and 17 Doctor Strange. And 16 as well. 16 I have Far From Home. I feel like I'm probably going to shift Doctor Strange above that and move those around, but that's the way I have it right now. Number 15, I have the first Thor. And number 14 is where Black Widow comes in for me. So right near that middle mark. 11, 12, and 13, again, same problem. I have a really hard time with these. So they keep moving around. But for right now, I
feel like anything around that top 10 can be shifted around at any day's notice.
Seriously, like I could rewatch it and it'll change. Currently, I have Black Panther at 13, Ant-Man at 12, and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 at 11. But again, those can all shift around. But my top 10 are actually pretty solid. Like I don't have a whole lot of movement up once at the 10 mark. Thor Ragnarok I have at number 10. Captain America, the First Avenger, I have at number 9. That one's weird because the more I watch it, the more I like it. Number 8, I have the first Avengers movie. Number 7, I have Civil War. Number 6, I have Iron Man. Number 5, I have Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 4, I have Avengers Infinity War. So a little lower than you, peeps. Number 3, I have Avengers Endgame.
He's got
the Endgame vote.
And our number 2 is also tied because I have Captain America the Winter Soldier at number 2 as well. That is just a phenomenal film. And my all-time favorite MCU movie so far is Guardians of the Galaxy. I have seen that movie 9 times in the movie theater. I have seen the movie 1 billion times at home. I cosplay Star-Lord in the past and danced around a Comic-Con to that music so many times. So that is my number one. That's my whole list. That's my 24.
Wow. Okay. See, this is what I love about this stuff, right? Because I'll say like some of the positioning, I'm just like, huh? But then there's a lot of them that we either have at the same number or I'm like one off from you. So like it's kind of interesting to see kind of how it shifts and falls. But all right, here we go. For me, number 24, and this is funny because Fred talked about it moving up his list, and this continues to be last place on my list, which is Captain America: The First Avenger. This is dead last for me. And again, I always feel I have to preface this with the MCU list. I love all of these movies. Okay, so please do not get me wrong. There are problems with the lower tier movies, but I still love the fuck out of all 24 of these. So just because it's at the bottom doesn't mean that I hate it. Just to me, in the grand scheme of things, it's the most boring one to me out of all these movies. So that's why it always falls at the bottom for me. So 24 is Captain America: The First Avenger. Number 23 is Iron Man 3. That I don't know. Soon that one might actually take place in flip flop, but Captain America for me. I gotta rewatch both of them again, and then I'll make that decision. Number 22 is The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. That movie, I do enjoy it, but it is definitely in the scheme of things towards the bottom. Now, shockingly, to see how it all falls, so I'm going to be the lowest on this one of the movie of the night. Black Widow is number 21 for me on the list. So again, nothing against it. We just talked about it. 4 out of 5 stars. Love this movie, but once again, up against the titans of the MCU, man. I don't know how that movie could be placed any higher, to be honest. Like to me, it just fell at the bottom just due to the enjoyment level of it, right? So 21 is Black Widow. Number 20 is Thor: The Dark World. Number 19 is Iron Man 2. Number 18 is the first Thor movie. Number 17 is Captain Marvel. Number 16 is Doctor Strange. Number 15 is the first Ant-Man movie. Number 14 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Number 13 is Black Panther. Number 12 is Spider-Man: Far From Home. Number 11 is the first Iron Man movie. Number 10, getting into that top 10, number 10 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Number 9 is Spider-Man: Homecoming. Number 8 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Number 7 is Thor: Ragnarok. I just rewatched Thor: Ragnarok like last week, and I was like, man, this movie is so damn good. So it bumped up because I used to have Winter Soldier higher, but from just a pure enjoyment level, because it's so funny and the action's incredible, Thor bumped up big time for me to number 7. Number 6 is Civil War, Captain America: Civil War. Number 5 is the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Number 4, and this is where, for me, I always have the Avengers movies at the top because there's just something special about these movies. They're team up movies. They're special events when they happen. So to me, they're always kind of the echelon of the top of the MCU because it's just, there's too much going on to have them fall any lower in my heart. So number 4 is Avengers: Age of Ultron. Number 3 is the first Avengers movie. Number 2 is Avengers: Endgame, and number 1 is Avengers: Infinity War. I agree with Peeps, not only the greatest MCU film, but probably the greatest film of all time. When it all comes down to it, I love Infinity War. Just did a back-to-back Infinity War and Endgame a couple nights ago. I've been kind of rewatching a lot of these with my daughter lately because she doesn't remember a lot of them from being so young. So we're kind of going through them again, and just so damn good, man. Infinity War is just such another level of a film. So there's how the 24 shakes out on my end.
I'd like to throw in there. We have and thank you, Steve, to joining us tonight. I thought it would be good to shout out his top 10 since he's been here stuck with us the whole time recording. Steve threw out his number 10 of Homecoming, his number 9 of Avengers, his number 8 of Iron Man, his number 7 of Far From Home, 6 Guardians of the Galaxy, 5 Civil War, 4 Ragnarok.
Yeah, Ragnarok, respect.
3 Winter Soldier, and then Infinity War at number 2 and Endgame at number 1. So thank you, sir. We appreciate you sticking with us through the night.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, man. I hope you've enjoyed it, and it was fun to listen to. as we've kind of broke this down. I love getting the team together for these and kind of breaking down these spoiler reviews and really getting a chance to dig into these movies on a bigger scale, because the regular podcast is non-spoiler. We only get a couple minutes to kind of talk about a movie. Even the video reviews I try to keep to 60 seconds, so getting a chance to sit here for an hour and a half and really break it down and talk about it is always fun, man, especially when it comes to the MCU and getting a chance to kind of get us up to speed with where we're at in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So very, very cool. So as always, guys, let's go around. Let's see where the people can find you. Peeps, I'm going to start with you, my friend. Where can they find you?
You can find me at the People's Forum. That is, as you probably already heard, it's my podcast of talking about the same things that we're talking about tonight. I'm going to be dropping Loki, the final episode, here pretty soon. Gosh, so many fun things. But yes, I'm on the internet. We're on the Facebooks, the People's Forum. We're on the iTunes, on the Spotify's, on the Stitchers, and the Googles, like just the People's Forum. 2 E's for Peoples. Also, Twitter, you can throw me some stuff there if you feel like it. That's For My Peoples, number 4 My Peoples on the Twitters.
On the Twitters, there you go. And you can also find that on Red Dragons Radio, of course, with all the other great podcasts. So check it out, reddragonsradio.com. Fred, where do the people find you?
That's me. Well, I am on the interwebs at pretty much just Twitter and Instagram, and you can find me at Frigginz. That's Frigginz, Frigginz with a Z. In addition to that, I show up on the Red Dragons Am I Still on the Air, where we do these kinds of podcasts every once in a while. So Don is gracious enough to keep inviting me back. I don't know why he does, but thank you, sir.
Get the fuck out of here.
I get kicked out almost every time for some kind of crazy, ranking of something or other.
And if we were talking about Loki, we'd be kicking him off right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I'm also, we like to do this little thing called Dungeons and Dragons, and we play that on Twitch. So you can find us at twitch.tv/Mead and Friends. And you can check out our D&D games live streaming. We do that about every other Saturday. Of course, life schedules sometimes tweak that, but if you just follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you'll see the post before we stream that.
All right, plug. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at DXDonMega. You see it there at the bottom. Of course, the show is Am I on the Air? You can see the little ticker at the bottom as well, too, amiontheair.com. Available on all your favorite podcast platforms, so Spotify, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podchaser, Google, Amazon, Pandora, everywhere you want to look, man, it's there. Just search Am I on the Air? Subscribe on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all that good stuff. Just search Am I on the Air and follow along. The regular podcast airs every Monday, breaking down the latest and greatest in entertainment news, television, movies, and reviews every single Monday. Get yourself caught up to speed with what's going down out there in that entertainment world. And of course, Am I Still on the Air? Right here, right now. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in for this spoiler review of Black Widow. I appreciate you all tuning in. Check this out on your podcast. Check it out on the YouTube for the video form. And until next time, y'all. Peace.
See ya.